After the age of 60, many people begin to experience sudden cramps in their feet, often right in the middle of the night. You're sleeping peacefully, and then bam. Your foot curls up painfully, the muscles lock tight. No matter how hard you stretch or rub it, the pain just won't let go. Have you ever asked yourself, why does this keep happening? Is it really just old age, or could there be deeper hidden reasons that your body is desperately trying to warn you about? In this video, we're going to dig deep into the real causes of nighttime foot cramps in people over 60. But before we dive in, let me be clear. What you're about to discover might completely change how you see those sudden, painful cramps. Because the truth is, cramps are not always just random. Sometimes they are your body's way of screaming for help, pointing to hidden problems that are often ignored until it's too late. So if you've ever woken up in the middle of the night with your foot locked in pain, or, someone over 60 who constantly complains about cramps, then don't scroll away. Stay with me until the end, because what I'm about to share may not only save you countless sleepless nights, but could even protect you from serious health risks that most people never connect to cramps at all. Let's start with a shocking fact. More than 60% of people over the age of 60 report experiencing regular nighttime foot cramps. That means this is not just a small issue, it's something millions of people are struggling with. Yet most of them treat it as nothing more than an inconvenience, rubbing their foot for a few minutes and then trying to fall back asleep. But here's the truth. Cramps are not always harmless. In fact, in many cases, they are like a flashing warning light on your car's dashboard. Ignore it long enough, and the entire engine may fail. Why do cramps happen so often after 60? Well, one of the biggest culprits is the natural loss of muscle mass and flexibility. As we age, our muscles become weaker, our tendons shorter, and our circulation slower. Imagine a garden hose that's been left in the sun for years. It stiffens, cracks, and doesn't carry water the way it used to. That's exactly what happens inside your body. The muscles in your feet are forced to work harder with less support. The moment they run out of energy or oxygen, they rebel by seizing up. That's the cramp. But here's where it gets interesting and a little scary. While some cramps are just the result of tired muscles, others can point to much more serious conditions: nerve damage, poor circulation, even hidden chronic diseases like diabetes or kidney problems. And this is why you cannot afford to brush them off. Now, let me grab your attention for a second. If you've ever thought, it's just a cramp, everyone gets them, stop right there. Because in the next few minutes, I'm going to reveal the different types of cramps and why some are harmless while others are silent red flags for something bigger. And trust me, once you hear this, you'll never think of foot cramps the same way again. But first, let's talk about one of the most common triggers: dehydration and mineral imbalance. After the age of 60, the body loses its ability to regulate fluids as effectively. Many older adults simply don't drink enough water throughout the day, either because they don't feel as thirsty or because they want to avoid frequent bathroom trips at night. The problem? When your body is dehydrated, your muscles lose the delicate balance of minerals like magnesium, calcium, and potassium, the very minerals that allow your muscles to relax after contracting. Without them, your muscles get stuck in the on position, and the result is a painful cramp. Have you ever noticed that cramps often come after a hot day or when you've been sweating a lot? That's no coincidence. Every drop of sweat carries out precious electrolytes, and for people over 60, even mild dehydration can tip the scales toward nighttime cramps. But dehydration is just the beginning. Let's dig deeper into the muscles themselves. Over time, the nerve connections that tell your muscles when to contract and when to relax start to weaken. Think of it like static on a phone line. The signal gets fuzzy. The message doesn't come through clearly, and your muscles misfire. Instead of relaxing, they clamp down, and that sudden jolt of pain leaves you gasping in the dark. And here's where it gets fascinating. Some cramps are predictable. Others seem to strike at random. The predictable ones usually come from obvious triggers like standing too long, walking too far, or wearing shoes that don't support your feet properly. But the random ones? Those are the ones you need to pay attention to, because they may be your body's way of warning you about circulation problems or nerve damage that hasn't been diagnosed yet. Let me ask you this. When was the last time you had a foot cramp? Did you just massage it away and forget about it? Or did you stop to wonder whether your body was trying to tell you something bigger? If you've never thought about it that way, you're not alone. Most people don't. But by the time they do start asking questions, the underlying condition has already gotten worse. That's why in the next section, we're going to separate the harmless cramps from the dangerous ones. You'll learn exactly which signs to ignore and which ones demand immediate attention. Because knowing the difference could be the key to protecting not only your sleep, but your long-term health. So stay with me because we're just getting started. In the previous section, we started uncovering why foot cramps become so common after the age of 60. We talked about dehydration, the loss of minerals, and the weakening connection between nerves and muscles. But now it's time to go a step further, because not all cramps are created equal. Some are fairly harmless, while others can be a hidden warning sign that something much more serious is happening inside your body. So let's draw a clear line between the two. The first type is what we call benign cramps. These usually occur when your muscles are simply tired, overworked, or lacking electrolytes. They can happen after a long walk, standing for hours, or even after a particularly hot day when you've been sweating more than usual. These cramps are painful, yes, but they're short-lived. With a little stretching, hydration, and some patience, they usually fade away without causing long-term problems. Think of them as the body's way of saying, slow down. Take better care of me, give me some water and minerals, and I'll be fine. But then, there's the second type, warning signal cramps. These are the ones that should make you stop and pay attention. Why? Because they don't just happen out of nowhere. They often appear repeatedly, sometimes several times a night, and no amount of rubbing or stretching seems to prevent them from coming back. Even more concerning is when cramps are accompanied by other symptoms: numbness, tingling, weakness, or cold feet. These are not just simple muscle spasms. These could be early signs of circulation issues, nerve damage, or underlying chronic diseases. Let me paint a picture. Imagine you're in your 60s or 70s, and you wake up 3 nights in a row with the same cramp in your left foot. Each time it lasts longer, feels sharper, and you notice your foot feels unusually cold compared to the other one. Most people would just shrug it off and say, it's just old age. But in reality, this could be the beginning of peripheral artery disease, a condition where the blood vessels in your legs become narrowed or blocked. Left untreated, this can lead to serious complications, even the risk of losing a limb. And that's not all. Another common cause of repeated cramps is nerve compression. As we age, our spine naturally degenerates. Discs flatten, vertebrae press closer together, and in many cases, nerves get pinched. When the nerves that control your feet are compressed, they send out faulty signals, and your muscles respond by contracting uncontrollably. That's the cramp. But here's the scary part. These cramps are not the real problem, they're just the symptom. The real problem is what's happening in your spine. Now let's add one more layer. Many older adults take daily medications, blood pressure pills, diuretics, statins. While these drugs are important for controlling chronic conditions, they often come with a hidden side effect. They disrupt the body's mineral balance. Diuretics, for example, flush excess fluid from your body to lower blood pressure. But they also wash out potassium and magnesium to minerals your muscles desperately need to function properly. Without enough of them, cramps become not just likely, but inevitable. This is why so many people over 60 who are on medication start noticing more frequent cramps at night. It's not just the aging process, it's the combined effect of both age and the very treatments meant to keep them healthy. That's why communication with your doctor is crucial. If you're experiencing constant cramps and you're on medication, don't ignore the connection. Sometimes, small adjustment in dosage or supplementing with the right minerals can make all the difference. But there's another subtle factor we need to discuss: circulation. As we age, blood vessels lose their elasticity. The heart may not pump as efficiently as it used to. This means blood flow to the extremities, especially the feet, slows down. Muscles that don't get enough oxygen and nutrients are far more likely to cramp. And unlike benign cramps, these circulation-related cramps often come with other warning signs. swelling in the ankles, a feeling of heaviness in the legs, or pain when walking that eases when you rest. If any of this sounds familiar, it's time to take it seriously. Let me share a real-life example. There was a man named Richard, 72 years old, who had been waking up with foot cramps almost every night. He thought it was nothing and tried drinking more water, but it didn't help. Eventually, his daughter convinced him to see a doctor. Tests showed that Richard had early-stage peripheral artery disease. His blood vessels were narrowing. His cramps were actually his body's desperate way of saying, "I'm not getting enough blood down here." Because it was caught early, Richard was able to make lifestyle changes and start treatment, preventing a much more dangerous outcome. So what's the lesson here? The lesson is that cramps should never be ignored, especially if they're happening often or if they come with other symptoms. They can be the first clue to conditions that, if caught early, are manageable, but if ignored, could become life-threatening. Let's pause for a moment and ask ourselves, when was the last time you or someone you love experienced a cramp? Did you brush it off, or did you stop to think about what it might mean? This is the moment where awareness could make all the difference. In the next section, we're going to dig deeper into lifestyle factors that may be making cramps worse without you even realizing it. Because sometimes the solution isn't just medical lights hidden in the everyday choices you make. And once you understand these hidden triggers, you'll have the power to reduce cramps dramatically and take back control of your nights. So stay tuned, because the story is just getting more interesting. In the previous part, we separated harmless cramps from dangerous ones. And we saw how medications, circulation problems, and nerve compression can all play a role. But let's go even deeper, because lifestyle choice is small. Everyday habits can quietly increase the risk of foot cramps after the age of 60 without you even realizing it. Let's start with something simple: diet. Many older adults don't get enough of the key minerals their muscles need to work properly. Magnesium, potassium, and calcium are absolutely essential for muscle relaxation. Without them, your muscles become overactive, like a car engine revving without oil. But here's the problem. As we age, our digestive system doesn't absorb nutrients as efficiently. Even if you eat the right foods, your body may not be extracting what it needs. And when that mineral balance is off, cramps are almost guaranteed. For example, bananas, leafy greens, nuts, and dairy products are all excellent sources of these minerals. But if your diet is heavy in processed foods, salt, or sugar, which is often the case for many older adults, your mineral levels may be far below where they need to be. That sets the stage for cramps, night after night. Another hidden factor? Dehydration. We've already touched on this, but it's worth repeating. Older adults often avoid drinking water in the evening because they don't want to. Wake up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom. It makes sense, but the trade-off is that their muscles become dehydrated. And dehydrated muscles are far more likely to cramp. It's a simple but powerful connection. Now, let's talk about physical activity. Movement is medicine, especially after 60. But here's the catch. Too little activity weakens the muscles, while too much activity strains them. Many older adults swing between these two extremes: long hours of sitting during the day, followed by bursts of intense walking or chores that their muscles aren't prepared for. The result? Cramping. The muscles in the feet and calves, already weakened from disuse, suddenly get overloaded. They respond by locking up in painful spasms. There's also the issue of posture and footwear. Shoes that don't support your arches, or spending too much time barefoot on hard floors, can change the alignment of your foot muscles and tendons. Over time, this strain builds up, and at night, the fatigue shows itself in the form of cramps. Something as simple as switching to shoes with better support or using a cushioned insole can sometimes reduce cramps dramatically. But let's not forget about chronic conditions. We already mentioned diabetes, but it's worth going into more detail here. High blood sugar slowly damages the tiny nerves in your feet, leading to a condition called neuropathy. One of the early symptoms of neuropathy is cramping, often accompanied by tingling or burning sensations. What's scary is that many people ignore these early signs until the damage is advanced and much harder to reverse. That's why cramps in people with diabetes should never be dismissed. Another overlooked culprit is kidney function. Your kidneys are responsible for filtering waste and balancing electrolytes in your blood. When they're not working properly, levels of potassium, calcium, magnesium can swing wildly, triggering frequent cramps. People with kidney disease often suffer from cramps during dialysis, and for them, it's more than just discomfort, it's a sign of deeper chemical imbalances in the body. Now, I want you to imagine something. Picture an older adult sitting at the edge of their bed, massaging their foot after yet another cramp. They think it's just normal aging, nothing more. But what if, beneath the surface, that cramp was actually the result of poor circulation, or nerve damage, or kidney dysfunction? What if that small moment of pain was really the body's way of sounding an alarm? This is why we need to start seeing cramps differently. Not just as a nuisance, but as a clue. A message. A puzzle piece in the bigger picture of your health. Here's another important point. Medications. Many drugs prescribed to older adults can directly or indirectly cause cramps. We talked about diuretics earlier, but statins commonly used to lower cholesterol, another big player. Statins are life-saving for many people, but one of their most common side effects is muscle pain and cramping. If you're on statins and experiencing frequent cramps, it's worth asking your doctor whether your medication might be part of the problem. And then, there are sleep positions. Believe it or not, the way you sleep can trigger cramps. If your feet are pointed downward for long periods, like when you sleep on your stomach or with heavy blankets pushing your toes down, your calf muscles stay shortened for hours. When you finally move, they can spasm violently. That's why some people wake up in the middle of the night with a cramp out of nowhere. A small change, like sleeping with your feet in a more neutral position or gently stretching before bed, can make a world of difference so far. We've seen that cramps are influenced by so many factors: diet, hydration, physical activity, footwear, chronic conditions, medications, even the way you sleep. And here's the takeaway. While some of these factors are harmless and easy to fix, others are signals of something much more serious. Let's pause for a moment. Ask yourself this. Are my cramps random, or are they becoming a pattern? Do they come with other symptoms like numbness, coldness, or swelling? Have I started new medications recently? Am I eating enough of the right foods? Answering these questions honestly can tell you a lot about whether your cramps are just a minor inconvenience or a sign of something bigger. In the next section, we'll go even further. We'll explore how the nervous system, the muscles, and the circulatory system all interact to create cramps, and how disruptions in that delicate balance can turn a simple spasm into a recurring nightmare. And most importantly, we'll reveal the hidden connection between cramps and chronic diseases that could put your long-term health at serious risk. Stay with me, because the deeper we go, the clearer the picture becomes. Up until now, we've uncovered lifestyle habits, medications, and hidden conditions that can all contribute to foot cramps after the age of 60. But now, let's zoom in on something even more fascinating: the interaction between your nervous system, your muscles, and your circulation. This triangle of systems is at the very heart of why cramps happen. And when one part is out of balance, the whole system suffers. Think about your nervous system. Every single muscle contraction is triggered by an electrical signal that travels from your brain, down your spinal cord, and into your nerves. That signal tells the muscle when to contract and when to relax. In younger years, this process is smooth and efficient. But after 60, nerve conduction begins to slow. The insulation around your nerves, called myelin, naturally thins with age. This means the messages traveling from your brain to your feet may not be as clear or as strong as they once were. The result? Misfiring signals. Muscles contract when they shouldn't, and instead of relaxing, they lock up in a painful cramp. Now let's connect this with the muscular system. Muscles are designed to work in pairs. When one contracts, the other relaxes. But aging changes this balance. Muscle fibers shrink. Connective tissue stiffens. Blood supply becomes less robust. All of this creates an environment where muscles tire more quickly, and once fatigue sets in, cramps are far more likely. Imagine a violin string pulled too tightly. It doesn't take much for it to snap. In the same way, an aging muscle under stress doesn't need much to cramp. And then there's circulation. Your blood delivers oxygen and nutrients to every muscle fiber. When circulation is strong, your muscles get what they need to function smoothly. But when circulation is weak due to conditions like peripheral artery disease, varicose veins, or simply years of inactivity, the muscles in your feet and legs become starved. Oxygen runs low. Waste products build up. And what's one of the first signals your body sends when muscles are suffocating? A cramp. That sudden, stabbing pain is your body crying out for better blood flow. Here's the powerful part. These three systems, nerves, muscles, and circulation, are all interconnected. Poor circulation damages nerves. Damaged nerves disrupt muscle balance. Weakened muscles put more strain on circulation. It's a vicious cycle. Cramps are often one of the earliest and most visible signs that the cycle has begun. Now, let's go even deeper. Have you ever noticed that cramps often strike at night? There's a reason for this. When you lie down, your circulation naturally slows, especially to the extremities like your feet. Your nervous system also shifts gears, entering a different state of activity during sleep. Muscles that were already fatigued during the day now receive less blood and fewer nerve signals. It's the perfect storm for a cramp to occur. That's why so many people over 60 report waking up in the middle of the night, clutching their foot in agony. But here's something most people don't realize. Stress and mental health also play a role. Stress triggers the release of hormones like cortisol, which can interfere with your body's ability to regulate minerals such as magnesium. It also increases muscle tension overall, making your body more prone to spasms. Older adults dealing with anxiety, loneliness, or depression may unconsciously carry more tension in their muscles. And that constant state of tightness increases the risk of cramps. There's also the factor of medication interactions. For example, a person might be taking a diuretic for blood pressure, statin for cholesterol, and a medication for diabetes all at the same time. Each of these drugs can influence muscle health in a different way. Combine them, and the effect is multiplied. The body becomes a complex equation, and cramps are often one of the side effects written in the margins. So what does all this mean? It means that cramps are not random. They are a message, a reflection of deeper processes in the body. Sometimes they're harmless, but other times they are warning lights flashing on the dashboard of your health. The key is learning how to read those signals before they turn into something more dangerous. Imagine two different people. The first experiences a cramp once a month, usually after gardening or walking a little too far. They stretch, hydrate, and the cramp disappears. That's annoying, but it's not dangerous. The second person, however, experiences cramps several times a week, often at night. They notice their feet are cold, or numb, or they see swelling in their ankles. That's not just a nuisance, that's a red flag. In that situation, the cramps are the body's way of saying, pay attention. Something deeper is wrong, and this brings us to one of the most overlooked aspects of cramps. Their connection to chronic diseases. Diabetes, kidney disease, heart disease, and neurological disorders like Parkinson's or peripheral neuropathy all use cramps as an early signal. In fact, some doctors refer to cramps as the silent siren of aging health problems. They don't always mean trouble, but when they're frequent, they deserve to be investigated. Let me ask you, when was the last time you mentioned your cramps to your doctor? Most people don't. They think it's just part of aging, not worth bringing up. But what if that conversation could lead to an early diagnosis of poor circulation, or nerve damage, or even heart disease? What if talking about cramps today could prevent a stroke or a heart attack tomorrow? That's the level of importance we're talking about. But before you feel overwhelmed, here's the hopeful part. Many causes of cramps can be reduced or even eliminated through simple changes. Hydration, stretching, proper footwear, balanced nutrition, managing stress, adjusting sleep positions. These are small adjustments, but they can have a massive impact. And when you combine them with proper medical guidance, cramps no longer have to control your nights. Still, here's the hook that will keep you leaning in. What if I told you that certain types of cramps can actually predict future health risks years in advance? That's right. Your body may be warning you about conditions that haven't fully developed yet. And in the next section, we'll uncover those predictive signals. and what steps you can take right now to protect your long-term health? Stay with me. The next part could completely change the way you think about your nightly cramps. We've traveled a long road together, covering the hidden causes of foot cramps after the age of 60. We've explored dehydration, mineral imbalances, medications, nerve issues, circulation problems, and even sleep positions. But now, let's pull it all together and focus on the most important truth of all. Cramps are not just random inconveniences. They are signals, sometimes whispering, sometimes shouting, about the state of your health. Let's revisit that powerful idea. Some cramps are harmless, but others are predictive. Research has shown that frequent nighttime cramps can be linked to conditions such as peripheral artery disease, kidney dysfunction, or diabetic neuropathy, sometimes appearing years before the full disease is diagnosed. In other words, your cramps might be one of the earliest warning signs that something deeper is developing. Think about what that means. Instead of ignoring cramps or brushing them off as just aging, you could use them as an early detection system, a built-in alarm designed by your body, urging you to take action before it's too late. Now, let's talk about what you can actually do. First, hydration. It sounds simple, but many older adults walk around chronically dehydrated. Make it a daily ritual. Small sips of water throughout the day, not just a large glass at night. Your muscles will thank you. Second, nutrition. Focus on foods rich in magnesium, potassium, and calcium like leafy greens, bananas, beans, yogurt, and nuts. If you're unsure whether you're getting enough, talk to your doctor about supplements. Sometimes just correcting a deficiency can dramatically reduce cramps. Third, movement. Gentle, regular exercise keeps circulation strong, nerves active, and muscles flexible. Walking, swimming, or light stretching before bed can reduce cramps significantly. And here's a tip. A simple calf stretch while standing on a step can help prevent those nighttime spasms. Fourth, review your medications. If you're taking statins, diuretics, or other drugs known to cause cramps, don't stop them on your own, but do bring it up with your doctor. Sometimes a small adjustment in dosage or timing can make a world of difference. Fifth, check your footwear. Shoes with proper arch support and cushioning reduce strain on your feet, while walking barefoot on hard floors can silently contribute to cramps. Investing in good shoes or supportive insoles is not vanity, it's a health decision. And don't forget about sleep. Pay attention to your sleeping position. If your feet tend to point downward under heavy blankets, try keeping them in a more neutral position. Some people even find relief by sleeping with a pillow under their calves or by doing a few minutes of stretching before bed. But here's the deeper, more urgent message. If your cramps are frequent, severe, or come with other symptoms like numbness, swelling, coldness, or skin changes, don't ignore them. Talk to your doctor. Push for answers. Cramps might be telling you that your circulation is failing, your nerves are damaged, or your kidneys are struggling. These are not minor issues, they're life-changing ones. Now, let me paint you a picture. Imagine two futures. In the first, you ignore the cramps. You tell yourself they're just part of aging. Years later, you're diagnosed with advanced vascular disease or severe neuropathy, conditions that could have been managed if caught earlier. In the second future, you pay attention. You hydrate, adjust your lifestyle, and talk to your doctor. You catch circulation problems early. You manage your diabetes more carefully. You protect your nerves before the damage is permanent. The difference between these two futures could be the difference between independence and disability, between walking freely and struggling with every step. So here's the challenge. Don't wait. Don't dismiss. Don't tell yourself it's nothing. If your body is speaking, listen. If your body is shouting, act. You have more control than you think, and remember, aging does not mean surrendering. Just because you're over 60 doesn't mean you have to live with constant pain or sleepless nights. Knowledge is power. Awareness is prevention. And small actions, taken consistently, can completely change your experience of aging. So the next time a cramp wakes you up in the middle of the night, don't just rub it away and roll over. Ask yourself, why did this happen? What is my body trying to tell me? That simple act of curiosity could be the first step toward protecting not just your comfort, but your long-term health. Now, here's my call to you. Take this knowledge seriously. Share it with your loved ones. If you know someone over 60 who suffers from cramps, let them hear this message. Because cramps are not just about pain, they're about prevention, protection, and paying attention before it's too late. You deserve restful nights. You deserve freedom from unnecessary pain. And you deserve to age with strength, dignity, and vitality. Foot cramps may be a part of your story, but they don't have to define it, so take action. Stay hydrated, stretch, eat well, wear supportive shoes. Talk to your doctor. And most of all, listen to your body. Because every cramp carries a message. The only question is, will you hear it? This is not the end of the story. It's the beginning of a healthier, more empowered chapter of your life.